But welcome. This is the unemployment workshop. And I've got Valerie and Jessica from CFT here to walk you through the unfortunately very Byzantine process of filing for unemployment. So if anybody doesn't know, I think I recognize just about everybody's name here, but if anybody doesn't know, I'm Keith, and I'm the president of State Center Federation of Teachers. I also have, if you see down in the corner, there's another me. That is Inez Zuniga, who is the executive director of our union, and we're both available to you at any time. So without further ado, I will turn it over to Valerie and Jessica.
Thanks, Keith. So for everyone, my name is Valerie Batchelor, and I work for the CFT, the Union of Educators and Classified Professionals. I'm the lead organizer, and Jessica is one of our newer organizers, so it's very exciting. She comes from the UC system, so that she knows a little bit about unemployment from personal experience and can speak to that. So today we're going to be going over not only kind of like what are some of the changes that have been made around unemployment, but also go over tricky questions that may come up. We're going to be recording this so that we can share it with other members, but then at the end, we're going to go ahead and do a Q&A, and that's not going to be recorded, just because you all might have very specific questions according to your specific situation, and we don't want to share that out into the world. So Jessica, do you want to introduce yourself and get us started?
Yeah, sure. I'm Jessica Conti, and like Valerie said, I am the newest organizer with CFT. I am zooming in with you all from Los Angeles today, and I'm happy to be back here for a second show today for the EDD Clinic. And I think without that, I will share my screen. We do have a lot of slides and information to get through, and we'll get started. And my dog just opened my door, so let me go ahead and fix that for a moment.
This is, okay, so dog and kid moments are one of the only things that I'm going to miss about the whole Zoom world thing. I think it was a board of trustees meeting, but it was some kind of like high profile meeting. And a lot of you know, I've been watching my niece and nephew. So my brother and sister-in-law, they both work in the healthcare field. And so we're watching their little ones, 4 and 2. And so in this meeting, right, and all of a sudden, my little 2-year-old nephew comes bombing out of the backfield, buck-ass naked, because he just got his diaper changed. Those are the kind of moments that I'm going to miss, right? These sort of humanizing incursions into our professional life. Okay, sorry.
Oh, that was great. Yeah, my dog just heard me talking and pushed the door open very aggressively in the background. So he's here with us now for this EDD clinic. Okay, so let's see. Oh, let me just get my Zoom situated. Okay, so welcome everybody. We're excited to see you all here for this EDD clinic. And as you all know, if you've been following the news or even trying to start your own application, unemployment benefits have changed a lot during this pandemic. We have everything as up to date as possible because we've been trying to track all those changes to share them with you all. And so before we get started, I'm going to just mention a few things, kind of house rules. We do usually use more interactive methods, but I will be reading from a script for most of the presentation because this content is very critical. You're going to hear a lot of acronyms, a lot of kind of fine details, and we don't want to give you any incorrect information about this. And just a bit of a caveat here, we are not financial advisors or EDD officers. So we might not be able to advise you on your personal situation. We've compiled various steps to apply for EDD and prepare for the appeals process so our members don't have to wait for the experts to do so. And so finally, as you all know, this training is being recorded. So please hold all your questions until the end when we stop recording and stay muted throughout the presentation. Also, if you do have a question and you want to put it in the chat box, we can get to it after the presentation. Chances are you also might get an answer on one of these slides as we move forward. So we're going to go get started. So today we're going to do an overview and discuss the California Employment Development Department and its program to help relieve the financial burden of unemployment. So first we're going to cover some important state and federal programs developed in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic. Then we'll talk about unemployment eligibility for adjunct faculty. We're going to skip over the school employee part. And then in the next section, we're going to cover all the steps for filing your unemployment claim. And we'll follow that with tips for successfully navigating the EDD system and close with a Q&A session. Okay, so who is this most helpful for? So the workshop here today will be most helpful to anyone who is employed on a contingent basis, meaning your employment depends on class enrollment, school funding, or program changes. If you are part-time faculty, this is most certainly probably you. It will also be helpful for anyone who has recently experienced a layoff or work reduction, whether or not they know if they're returning to work soon. And finally, it'll be useful to anyone wanting to know more about the programs created by the CARES Act in 2020 and the American Rescue Plan in 2021. So we're going to dive right into that. So before we get into details about the Employment Development Department, we're going to start with some background information about recent changes to federal and state programs providing financial assistance for people through the pandemic. So last year, the federal government passed the CARES Act in response to the COVID-19 crisis. The legislation created several new programs and expanded some existing programs that provide financial support for families and businesses. Some of that financial assistance included freezing evictions for non-payment of rent, delaying mortgage payments, and providing grants for businesses in the form of loans that don't have to be repaid. The CARES Act also provided stimulus checks for eligible taxpayers. Most important to this conversation is that the CARES Act also defines what it means to be unemployed because of COVID-19. So I just should note, most everyone here will not be applying for unemployment benefits due to COVID-19, and we'll go over why on the next slide, but for the most part, part-time faculty would qualify because you've been laid off. So those unable to work due to COVID-19 is defined as those who have been diagnosed with the virus, are awaiting diagnosis, are caring for anyone with the virus or awaiting diagnosis, and anyone whose work, school, or childcare is closed due to COVID. Note that those who can telework or who are receiving paid leave are not eligible. Since many districts moved all their instruction online, you will have the ability to telework. You all have the ability to telework, hence you would not be eligible for unemployment benefits due to COVID-19 as per this definition. What's most relevant for our discussion today is the expansion of unemployment insurance benefits. The CARES Act created Pandemic Unemployment Assistance, or PEUA, Pandemic Emergency Unemployment Compensation, or PEUC, and expanded the Federal State Extended Duration Program, or FEDED, or FedEd. You'll hear these a lot today. So we're going to take a quick look at each of them. Okay, the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program expands eligibility for UI to people who have not historically been covered, including freelancers, gig workers, workers starting a new job, and those unable to work due to COVID-19. The quick litmus test for PUA is whether or not you receive 1099 forms, only receive 1099 forms. The only exception is if you started a new job where you would receive a W-2 tax form, but you were laid off before you could amass eligibility. Most people here today will qualify for Pandemic Emergency Unemployment Compensation, PEUC. This program added an additional $600 to all UI claims until September last year. The amount was then reduced to $300 for a time. PEUC also extends the number of weeks that people are eligible to receive UI benefits. So this $300 is still something that you will get on top of your weekly benefit claim. Finally, the Federal State Extended Duration Program, or FedEd, increases the number of weeks one person can receive unemployment benefit unemployment insurance benefits by up to 20 weeks. The earning requirement for this program is slightly different from traditional unemployment insurance, and if you qualify, the EDD will automatically submit an application for you. So this means there's not an additional application you have to fill out. It will be automatically submitted once you fill out your claim. Okay. So now we have the American Rescue Plan. So this is as of April 17th, 2021. Several of the CARES Act programs were expanded through the American Rescue Plan in April. This plan added some tax benefits for people receiving unemployment benefits. So this means that if you did receive unemployment benefits, say last year, and you paid taxes, you should be getting a refund on some of those taxes. I'm waiting for mine here. So it also extends PEUC and PUA through September 4th, 2021. It provided $1,400 in stimulus payments to eligible taxpayers, and then the additional $300 per month on top of the existing claim. So that's on top of the weekly claim that we talked about before. Okay. So now we're going to go into adjunct faculty eligibility and why part-time faculty adjunct lecturers and any non-full-time, non-tenured faculty at community colleges, USC, the UCs, and private universities in California are eligible to receive unemployment benefits. You all are in a unique situation when it comes to unemployment benefits eligibility. All higher education part-time faculty with contingent contracts are legally entitled to unemployment benefits during every term break, excluding holiday and midterm breaks. And we're going to repeat this in many different ways over and over, that as part-time faculty, you are considered contingent employees and you do not have reasonable assurance of work after the end of your term, so you are eligible. This is largely due to the 1989 Cervici Decision. The California Supreme Court found that adjunct faculty are eligible for unemployment benefits because their work is contingent on 3 factors: funding, enrollment, and program changes. And so here's the language from that decision. So this means that it doesn't matter if you have a written or verbal promise of classes for next semester. It doesn't mean even if your name is appearing on the schedule of classes, and even if you have signed a contract for next term, you are still eligible for unemployment insurance because your class can always disappear or be pulled or canceled due to enrollment funding or program changes. It also means that even if your collective bargaining agreement has language on seniority and assignments for part-timers, there's also likely language allowing for class cancellations based on those 3 criteria. So just to summarize once again, part-time faculty are eligible for unemployment insurance benefits, even if your name is on the schedule, even if you've received an appointment letter, and even if you've received a verbal promise of a class. This is due to the contingent nature of part-time faculty's employment. Non-tenured part-time faculty do not have reasonable assurance of being employed in the succeeding quarter or semester. And we're going to go over how to answer that on your UI claim when you kind of get to the kind of tricky questions for that. But until then, we're going to take a closer look at employment development departments in the unemployment insurance benefits application process. So the EDD, or Employment Development Department, serves many purposes, one of which is administering the unemployment insurance program. The EDD also administers federally funded workforce investments, assists California job seekers with finding employment, and shares labor market information. The unemployment insurance branch within the EDD is responsible for determining unemployment eligibility and paying benefits in a timely and accurate manner. Sometimes people mischaracterize unemployment benefits as free money, but they are actually funded by the Federal Unemployment Tax Act through an employer's payroll taxes. Only the employer pays this tax, and it is never deducted from an employee's wages. Your employer is required to pay this tax along with any unemployment taxes set by the state. These funds exist for the explicit purpose of supporting workers when they are out of work or underemployed. So we're mentioning